What if Deku had Salem's powers? Chapter 3. First day at UA. April had now rolled around, and now Izuku was preparing to head to UA. Izuku, you're all set? Inko asked. Yeah, Izuku said. Are you sure? You didn't just pack action figures, right? Inko asked. I have everything. Now I gotta go. I don't want to be late. Izuku then headed for the door. Izuku, Inko said. What? Izuku asked. Inko began to tear up. I'm really proud of you, son, Inko said. Izuku smiled at Inko. I'll see you soon, Izuku said. Izuku then left the apartment. Your mother is a lovely woman, Salem said. Yes. Yes, she is. She's always loved and cared for me, Izuku said. Well, I would hope so. It's a mother's job to take care of her children. As once a mother myself, I detest harming children, Salem said. You had children? Izuku asked. Yes, back when my Ozma first reincarnated we continued our relationship that was cut short, and well, we had 4 children together, but sadly they died before even becoming a teenager, Salem said. That must have been hard. Losing your children to something out of your control, Izuku said. Actually, to be honest, they died by my and Ozma's hand, Salem said. You two killed them? Deku asked. Me and Ozma had an argument, and so he decided to take the kids and leave. But I caught him. We started fighting, casting all sorts of magic at each other. We were both very powerful magic users, and in the end the kids got caught in the crossfire. There's not a day that goes by that I don't mourn for them, Salem said. I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm sorry for making you remember, Izuku said. It's alright. I could have said no. And I should be honest with you, I'm not a good person, Salem said. But you are. You were just put in very hard situations by the gods and Ozma. Those consequences were unavoidable. And besides, you're helping me with my dream, that tells me that you are a good person overall, Izuku said. Salem remained silent. Izuku thought it best to leave Salem alone for the time being. A while later Izuku arrived at UA and began looking for Class 1AM. You mentioned that this school had a low acceptance rate, just how low is it? Salem asked. The acceptance rate of UA has always been around 1 in 300, Izuku said. That's extremely low, Salem said. Yeah. With 40 spots in both UA Hero course classes. That means at least 12,000 students participated in the exam, Izuku said. Why even bother if the acceptance rate is that low? Salem asked. Because the top 3 heroes in Japan have graduated from UA. Graduating from UA is basically a prerequisite to becoming a top hero, Izuku said. I see, Salem said. Now, where's Class 1AM? Izuku said. Soon enough, Izuku found Class 1AM. That's quite a large door, Salem said. Well, not everyone is normal sized, they've got to have access for everyone, Izuku said. Izuku went to open the door, but hesitated. What's the matter? Salem asked. I'm just hoping that Bakugo and that blue-haired boy from the exam aren't in my class, Izuku said. Seriously? You're scared of them? You have nothing to worry about, Salem said. You're right, Izuku said. Izuku then opened the door to see the blue-haired boy arguing with Bakugo. Take your feet off of that desk now, the blue-haired boy from the exam said. Ha, Bakugo said. It's the first day and you're already disrespecting this academy by scuffing school property, you cretin, the blue-haired boy said. You're kidding me, right? Your old school put a stick up your ass, or were you born with it? Bakugo asked. Let's start over. I'm Tenya Taida from the Sumaya Private Academy, Taida said. Sumaya, huh? So you must think you're better than me. I'm gonna have fun tearing you a new one, Bakugo said. You would threaten me? Your own classmate? Are you sure you're in the right place? Taida said. The two, along with everyone else in the classroom, then noticed Izuku and Neo standing in the doorway. "Ah, hi," Izuku said. "Good morning. My name is Tenya Taida from them," Tenya said. "Yeah, I know. I overheard. I'm Izuku Midoriya." "It's nice to meet you," Izuku said. "Likewise. I'm sorry I misjudged you during the entrance exam. You clearly shown that you belong here," Tenya said. "Thanks," Izuku said. "By the way, do you have a brother with white hair and skin?" "It's just that you look like another student that I was hoping to meet," Tenya said. "Oh, I don't have a brother, and that boy you saw was me," Izuku said. "It was. Now that I think about it, it does make sense, but what happened to your white skin and hair?" Tenya asked. "Oh, my skin and hair change when I activate my quirk," Izuku said. "Ah, so you have a transformation quirk," Tenya said. "I mean sort of, but it more of a change to use my quirk. Like turning the power on in your home to turn on the lights," Izuku said. "I see," Tenya said. "Hello there," a voice said. Izuku turned around to see the brown-haired girl from the exam site. "Oh, it's you. Glad to see you're alright. You were throwing up a lot after the exam," Izuku said. "Yeah, I overused my quirk." "Wait, how do you know about that?" "I don't remember seeing you," the girl said. "That's because I looked different then, I had white skin and hair," Izuku said. "Oh. Well, thank you for looking after me until recovery girl arrived." "I'm a Kako Yurika said. "I'm Izuku said. "If you're just here to make friends, then you can pack up your stuff now," a voice said. Everyone looked to see a man in a sleeping bag on the floor. "Welcome to U.S. Hero course. It took 8 seconds before you all shut up. That's not gonna work. Time is precious." Rational students would understand that the man said, getting out of the sleeping bag. "Who is this guy? If he's here, then he must be some kind of pro," Izuku thought. "But look at him. He looks so worn out. If this is the kind of teachers they have at UA, then we've wasted our time," Salem thought. "I'm sure he's up to UA's standards," Izuku thought. "Hello, I'm Shouter Aizawa. Your teacher." "Right, let's get to it. Put these on and head outside," Aizawa said, pulling out a tracksuit from his sleeping bag. The students did as they were told and were now gathered outside. "What? A quirk assessment test?" the students asked. "But orientation. We're gonna miss it," Akako said. "If you really wanna make the big leagues, you can't waste time on pointless ceremonies. Here at UA, we're not tethered to traditions. That means that I get to run my class however I see fit. You've been taking standardized tests most of your lives. But you never got to use your quirks in physical exams before. The country's still trying to pretend we're all created equal by not letting those with the most power excel. It's not rational. One day, the Ministry of Education will learn." "Bakuga, you managed to get the most points on the entrance exam. What was your farthest distance throw with a softball when you were in junior high?" Aizawa asked. 67 meters, I think," Bakugo said. "Right. Try doing it with your quirk," Aizawa said. Aizawa then chucked a ball at Bakugo. "Anything goes. Just stay in the circle. Go on. You're wasting our time," Aizawa said. "All right, man. You asked for it," Bakugo said. "I'll add a little heat to my pitch and drop their jaws," Bakugo thought. "Die!" Bakugo yelled, as he threw the ball using an explosion to send to flying. "All of you need to know your maximum capabilities. It's the most rational way of figuring out your potential as a pro hero," Aizawa said. Aizawa showed his phone to the class, showing Bakugo's throw distance of 705.2 meters. "Whoa, 705 meters. Are you kidding me?" a yellow-haired boy said. "I wanna go. That looks fun," a pink girl with horns said. "This is what I'm talking about, using our quirks as much as we want," a black-haired boy with large cylindrical elbows said. So this looks fun, huh? You have 3 years here to become a hero. You think it's all gonna be games and playtime? Diets. Today you'll compete in 8 physical tests to gauge your potential. Whoever comes in last has none and will be expelled immediately. Like I said, I get to decide how this class runs. Understand? If that's a problem, you can head home right now, Aizawa said. Home? This guy doesn't mess around. Maybe I misgauged him. You can't send one of us home. I mean, we just got here. Even if it wasn't the first day, that isn't fair, Kako asked. Oh, and you think natural disasters are? Or power-hungry villains, home? Or catastrophic accidents that wipe out whole cities? No, the world is full of unfairness. It's a hero's job to try to combat that unfairness. If you want to be a pro, you're gonna have to push yourself to the brink. For the next 3 years, UA will throw one terrible hardship after another at you. So go beyond. Plus ultra style. Show me it's no mistake that you're here, Aizawa said. I don't approve of this kind of hazing, but U.S. The top hero program. I have no choice tenure though. Time to blow these nerds away, Bakugo thought. It's time to show what I've got, Izuku thought. Don't worry. You've got this, Salem said. Now, then. We're just wasting time by talking. Let the games begin, Aizawa said. The first test was a 50-meter dash. Some students excelled in this test whilst others only showed minor improvements. Now it was Izuku's and Bakugo's turn. A gunshot then went off and Izuku and Bakugo took off. Burst speed, Bakugo yelled, using his explosions to blast himself forward. Izuku, in grim form, used ice magic to push himself forward. Bakugo got a time of 4.13 seconds, whilst Izuku got a time of 5.14 seconds. What the hell was that, Deku? You're supposed to be quirkless, Bakugo yelled. Well, I'm not anymore. So deal with it, Izuku said. Is there a problem, Aizawa asked. Bakugo and Izuku continued to stare at each other. No, Bakugo said. Bakugo then walked away. Why didn't you use fire magic to blast yourself like Bakugo, Salem asked. But I don't have as much control over my blast as Bakugo does. I decided to play it safe. Which reminds me, I should melt the ice, Izuku thought. Izuku then used fire magic to melt the ice. This caught the attention of a boy with white and red hair. Izuku then returned to the group so that the next 2 students could go. Hey! May I ask why your hair and skin change when you use your quirk, Uraraka asked. I don't know. Why do your fingertips have pads for you to use your quirk, Izuku asked. Fair point. Sorry if it seemed rude, Uraraka said. It's alright, Izuku said. I see you like this one, Salem said. Shut up, Izuku thought. The class then moved on to the next tests. Izuku used gravity magic for the grip strength and wind magic for the long jump, doing very well in both. Now it was time for the ball throw. It was Uraraka's turn. She activated her quirk on the ball. She then threw the ball, and it floated up into the sky and then into space. Aizawa showed his phone to the class. The measurement read infinity. Infinity, the students exclaimed. That's insane. How's that possible, the yellow-haired boy asked. That's impressive, but why isn't she throwing up like before, Izuku thought. Her Keurig must a weight limit. She did throw up a lot after using her quirk on that robot's head, Salem said. That's a good theory, Salem, Izuku thought. Thank you. After hearing you mutter over and over about quirks, I couldn't help but pick up on theorizing, Salem said. Izuku Midoriya. It's your turn, Aizawa said. Izuku then walked into the circle. Hey, let's match her score, Salem said. Let's, Izuku said. Izuku threw the ball up in the air, but before it hit the ground the ball began to float. Izuku the flicked his wrist and the took off into the air. Infinity, a robotic voice said. Another infinity, the students asked. Nice job Izuku, Eureka said. Thanks. Sorry about stealing your thunder though, Izuku said. It's alright. I did it first and that what matters, Eureka said. Look at you two flirting already, Salem said. Shut up, Izuku said. The tests then continued and soon they were over. Okay, I'll quickly tell you the results. The total is simply the marks you got from each test. It's a waste of time to explain verbally, so I'll show you the results all at once, Aizawa said. Aizawa then presented the scores. Izuku looked at the list to see he was in first place. Nice job Izuku, Eureka said. Well done, Midori, Artenia said. Thanks, Izuku said. Izuku the looked to see who was in last place. It was someone named Toru Higakyo. Please don't expel me. I worked so hard to get here, Toru pleaded. Toru Higakyo. Come with me, Aizawa said. Wait. I thought you were lying about expelling one of us. I didn't think you were serious, Momo said, the student who had achieved second place. I'm always serious, don't make that mistake again. Now the rest of you head back to class and collect the handouts with the curriculum and such, and then look them, Aizawa said. The students then headed back to class whilst Aizawa and Toru headed to the principal's office. As he walked to UA's main building, Aizawa noticed All Might hiding around the corner of a building. He seemed to be watching one of the students. He would have to ask about that at a later date. End of chapter 3.